Yes, the rumors are true. I do like a little bit of manga. You might say I'm a collector of sorts. I know my collection is not near as massive or extensive as a lot of other people's, but it's mine. That being said, I do read a lot more than I actually own. Thus, the reason for this vlog, March Manga Madness. Manga March Madness? I wanted to participate in this last year, and I think I kind of did in the spirit of it, but I was coming off of my 28K in 28 days challenge, and I was done with reading challenges. And I'm not really taking this as a challenge either, but I wanted to participate. I have a lot of manga series that I'm reading, a lot of which I do not physically own, and I just need to make some progress, and I feel like reading some gosh darn manga, alright? That being said, I'm only going to do this vlog for a week. I feel like that's plenty of time to make some progress and to get some good reading in. Not to mention that in my February reading wrap-up, which will be linked up above, I'm doing like a Wrath of the Wrap-Up thing where I compare my statistics from the beginning of the month to the end, and if I don't improve, I have a little punishment for myself, like a challenge for the next month. Though I didn't end up getting punished technically in my last wrap-up, spoiler alert, I guess. By the time this video's out, you'll see it anyway. But I wanted to give myself a challenge in order to introduce you to the concept. The challenge that I gave myself was that I need to read 4 of my owned manga and at least progress in 2 or 3 series. Now, when I decided I was going to do a March Manga Madness vlog, I did not remember that I gave myself that challenge, at least I don't think so, but it perfectly fits, so why not? I'm not gonna go overboard with this, unlike everything else I do in my life, ever. Famous last challenge words. The goals this week are just to read manga and have fun with it, dude. I mostly want to prioritize my own TBR. I only have 14 unread manga that I own, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Especially when you compare that I have like 200 and something books overall that are unread. So we're going to prioritize doing my physical manga, but also I want to prioritize just really catching up in some series. Well, I'm not going to catch up, but I can progress. Stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen, Blue Exorcist, Ouran, stuff like that. Tonight is Monday night. I was at work most of the day, so I really didn't get a chance to read pretty much at all, except for now, before I go to bed. Now, I've started this new habit, as you've probably seen on my shorts I do every week, but I read for at least an hour before bed every single weeknight. And if you have not seen those, well, you probably will. They'll probably show up on your algorithm now. Tonight, I'm gonna do 2 hours, or something like that. I'm gonna start with One Piece tonight, probably, and then maybe a volume of Given. We'll see, but I knew today was pretty much going to be a loss because Monday is the day that I work the longest amount of hours at the venue, at least generally. Tomorrow, I hope to read a little bit more. I'll be at home most of the day. I do have to go to work at the record store tomorrow afternoon, and then I'm getting a tattoo tomorrow. I know. It's a scorpion. I'm very excited. Has anyone ever used that tone when talking about a scorpion before? Just me? I've already finished One Piece Volume 2. In like 30 minutes, which is about typical for how much I take to read and enjoy manga, and I did really enjoy this volume. I love the whole, like, beginning intro to Buggy, because I just like Buggy. I think he's ridiculous in a really good way, and I like getting to see my boy Z just absolutely go to town with "I'm tired of your circus tricks," you know? And I remember watching the episode, because I've been watching it and then reading it, and I remember the dog storyline. Like, I think I fully cried watching it, sitting here in this living room. I know I at least teared up, but I'm pretty sure I cried. And, yeah, it just hits. And I'm loving that we're building the crew. I'm liking that we're slowly getting introductions to this world that it's like, how are these people connected? Because the whole world is pirates, right? Or whatever, but in a world that seems really wide, it turns out that's the smaller it is. So who is connected to who and how? All these people are like, oh, well, I know you, or I know of you, or I know someone that you know, and how it's gonna get them into trouble. But I'm liking that we're still building our crew. I like that we're still learning about one another and just the world that they're in. So now, I'm gonna go do my normal reading before bed, and I think I'll pick up tomorrow with probably reading Given. I don't think I'm gonna read any more manga tonight. I think I'm just gonna go probably read something else. But this is a good way. Good start. Just finished that volume of One Piece, and now I'm straight into Ouran Pirate Verse. How do I happen to do this? Also, don't worry that my cursor is Inuyasha. I don't want to talk about it. This actually made me LOL. And my brother this, my brother that. She's got some serious brother complex. Yeah, brother. Not that you two would know anything about that. Right, Haruhi? Yeah. Yeah. No, dude. Dude, come on. Not the hand. Come on. The only thing that saved this, a hedgehog impression. Hedgehog. Why he me, though? Hello, my friends. I come to you halfway through the week. We might actually have a Chey vlog shorter than an hour. I'm not gonna put that evil on you, nor on me. My hair does look good, though. Probably because I actually showered. I come to talk to you, first of all, about what is happening here. What? Excuse me? I come to you to talk about what I read yesterday. I actually ended up reading 2 volumes of stuff yesterday. First one is Semantic Error Volume 1. I don't have the book here right next to me because it's in my room. This is a work that did originally start as a webtoon because I had it on my list for forever. But my lovely friend Bree ended up sending me a copy for my birthday or Christmas, one of those. And so now I own the physical copy of Volume 1. And I loved it, actually. I love reading BL, I love reading manga, I love reading webtoons. I love it. It's so creative. There's so many wild and original storylines out there. And this one is definitely one that I have not seen done at least over and over and over. I know that's probably not the case for a lot of people, but we're talking about me here. We follow these 2 university students. We follow Jay and Songwo. Listen, the only Songwo that I really know is from Killing Stalking. Songwo. So the story starts off with Songwo presenting this project in his class, and he's the only one that did any work on the project, and he outright tells the professor, hey, none of these other 3 people did any work on this, so I'm the only one that should get the credit. And it turns out one of the people that he calls a freeloader is a senior who will now not be able to graduate because he didn't participate in the project and he was missing from class a lot of the semester. He had another student like fake attendance for him. Well, Jay, as I'm going to call him, finds out that it's this guy. And so the guy that he prevented from graduating, Jay, is trying to find him and hunt him down, right? Because he's like, yo, bro, not cool. So he keeps trying to dodge him and stuff like that. Meanwhile, he is also trying to work on this own coding video game project of his own. His friend that he was going to hire ends up ditching the project and passes it off to another guy they recommend. Well, he meets said guy, and it's Jay. It's the guy that's been trying to hunt him. Turns out he's the same guy, and he's apparently very capable at design and all that. And he's like, heck no, I'm out of here. I'm done. Well, Mr. J has the hearts for the hate. Because he goes around just trying to make Songwo's life miserable on purpose and make him hate him on purpose. That way that he is remembered by him. But then as we're going through Volume 1, he's like, actually, I don't want him to remember me because he hates me. I need to be nicer. And I'm very interested where these 2 disasters of people are going. And Songwo is on the spectrum. There's a line where because he hates disruptions to his routine. He has these very specific things that he does. And the other character's like, hey, are you are you on the spectrum, basically? And he's like, yeah, but my doctor says not enough to, warrant anything. And I'm like, brother, your doctor lied to you. You are heavily spectrumized, my dude. As somewhat from one heavily spectrumized to another. Your doctor lied to you, bro. Bro got the tism. Straight up, pretty sure bro got the tism. But I'm enjoying it so far. That's the end of Volume 1 is bro is like, I need to be nicer to bro. That way he remembers me for good things. And the other bro is like, it's getting real suspicious. But I liked it. I liked it a lot so far, and I'm excited to continue on with it. I don't own Volume 2, but I do have e-access to it, and so I'm very excited for it. Will I read in this video? I don't know, but I do plan on continuing it. The next thing that I finished is Ouran High School Host Club, Volume 9. I love Ouran. Listen, it probably tells you a lot about me, that was one of the first anime I watched as a middle schooler. Not one of the first anime I ever watched as a kid. That was Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something, I'm sure. But the first one that I watched on my phone, pirated on YouTube with the terrible subtitles and the bloopers and stuff like that. That's a specific experience. It was my first anime on that side of things, and I loved it. And I don't know why it's taken me so long to actually read the manga, but I'm finally getting to it, and I'm having such a good time with it. This volume is still essentially kind of getting into the backstories of the characters, and now it's starting, because the last couple volumes have just been delving into where they came from and how they all got to know each other and how they all got intertwined into this host club, right? How Tamaki basically gaslit, man boss mansplaining, manipulated them all into the host club. And now we're really getting to see the interweaving webs of that, how the past is coming back to haunt them, how it's playing into the way that they see the world and the way that they see the world with and through each other. So for instance, there is a chapter where Tamaki is trying to help this princess, and everyone's like, oh, it's because she looks like his mom, so because he's bending over backwards to try and help her and like do everything that she requests, even when it's like a stupid request. We shall never deny a guest, even the most ridiculous request. SpongeBob. Listen, what did I tell you? Heavily spectrumized. This is Dr. Pepper, by the way. I'm straight edge. I'm just like this. No way.
We shall never deny a guest, even the most ridiculous request.
I'm the reason that other people drink. Ooh, do it, queen! Anyway, Tamaki is trying to bend over backwards to help this girl anyway, and people are like, oh, it's because he reminds her of his mom, like, it looks like his mom, and all, assuming how people do, especially kids their age. And it turns out that he's actually just shockingly more emotionally mature and in tune and more knowledgeable about the overall social political situation, and has just more insight and humanity as to why he's doing what he's doing. But also his background does inform it. I really enjoyed the end because Tamaki is finally getting lovesick. It very much is reminding me of Love is War, where it's like, oh, she's in bed because Kaguya is in bed because she's like, oh, it turns out she's lovesick and stuff like that. And Tamaki, I'm like, this is the original, this is the blueprint. Bro is sick in bed, like, because he's lovesick. I guess, like, he actually did have a cold too, because they talk about fever and stuff, but I'm like, also, bro is lovesick. And he's starting to have realizations, and he's gonna start fighting those realizations, and I'm so freaking here for it. When he did that little stop. What is stabbing me? Face me, you coward. Tonight, I'm gonna read Given Volume 7. I'm gonna get that off my list. What else? I don't know. I'm probably gonna start over on Volume 10, but probably not gonna finish it tonight. But I will finish Given Volume 7, because I'm itching at the bit to do it. Literally itching. He's an idiot, and I love him so very much. But also, listen, as someone who works in the music industry, I get it. I get him. Are we so for real right now? Are we so for real right now? Hello, Buttercups. It is Friday. Wow. This short vlog really is going to be short because I feel like I've done absolutely nothing in this vlog. Today, we're going to change that though, because it's a Good Friday. It's not Good Friday, but it is a Good Friday. Yesterday, I didn't read anything. I didn't read my 10 pages a day book. I didn't even do my hour reading before bed because I had a lunch at work that I was going to. I was taking care of the dogs, and then I ended up going and getting a tattoo. And by the time that I got home, I was tired, and so I just went to bed. But now, we're gonna read. We're gonna read today. Is it almost 5 p.m.? Yes. But there's still plenty of time in the day. In fact, I called my mom and she told me so. She said, it's still early in the day, you can still get stuff done. But I have read since I last talked to you. And I finished... Whoa. Ew. Whoa. No. I finished Given Volume 7. This one is probably one of the shortest volumes in the series, but I felt like, honestly, I felt like it should have just been combined with another volume. Because yes, we get like a peek and more depth to the side characters' relationships and their lore with each other and seeing what's going on with them and interest in them. And again, I obviously kind of have to make this vague because we're near the end of the series. But we get a little bit more background too and pushing forward in the current main tension arc between our main band members. Yui, as I like to call him, and Mifui. The tension that's between them and the band, we're getting to see a little bit of self-reflection in how they deal with this other band. things that they are doing outside of their own home base, reflecting back at home base, kind of pushing them forward a little bit. You know, the whole thing of you got to kind of step back and see the trees within the forest and stuff. It could have just been combined with another volume, and it would have felt like more of a step, because I don't want to say this was a nothing volume, because it wasn't a nothing volume, but I just felt like it didn't need to be its own. Like, it could have just, like, half of this could have been in volume 6 and the other half could have been in volume 8, at least. I feel like I still liked it. I did like getting to see the other relationships in here, though, especially between two characters in a certain band that, again, I can't say because of spoilers, but I love them together and it makes me so happy. So today I'm still reading Oran volume 10 too, so I'll probably finish that tonight, and I'm probably going to take this through to Sunday and then just finish up, have this be like next week's vlog or something like that, because I want some more time with this, but I don't want to do too much. I don't want to do too much. But this week has been crazy. So I want to give y'all some more, because I want to read some more. It's not all about you, unfortunately. Sorry to break it to you. Today, I am planning on finishing. Great job at trying to expedite saying your sentences, Chey, but it didn't quite come out the way that you hoped. I think my mom says that about me, too, whenever she thinks about me being born. So today we are going to finish Given. I've learned that there is a volume 10, but it's more of kind of like a side thing of like 10 years in the future or something. The only listing I could find was in Spanish, because I guess there's not an English edition yet, and it was like 10 años, and I was like, okay, so like 10 years later. And from the reviews, that seemed to be what it was saying, so I'm guessing it's not necessary, because people in the comments, people in the reviews were like, it's cool, but it's not like necessary to the main story, so I'm just going to call this the end of the series, but we have 8 and 9. I'm very excited to finish this up. I am going to go slow with it this afternoon, but I am just planning on finishing it tonight. But I'm not going to run through it, because I don't want to spoil it for myself like that. Like, I want to digest it. Then I'm going to read in Blue Exorcist. I forget which volume I'm on a Blue Exorcist. I think I'm on 6 and 7. I think, because I think I got these for my birthday or for Christmas, and I have through volume 12, but we're going to start with these, because I think I'm on volume 5. I might be on volume 7, but I'll find out. Either way, I have the next few volumes to read from, so I will be reading 2 in Blue Exorcist tonight, and I'll be reading 2 in Given, at least. I think that's like, what, 2 hours worth of reading, if I take my time and just chill with it, so that's good to me. And probably finishing Oran, and we'll just see, because I feel like I've been to save you from the rant, I've just been having a lot of procrastination, like waiting mode on this project I'm doing on my main channel, Press Play Chey, by the way, if you want to go. The only thing I will tell you about it is this: it is a video that revolves around books, but it is not like a reading vlog, necessarily. But it is heavy, and not heavy in like a subject matter, but just like in depth, unlike anything I've ever done. And it takes a lot of time and patience and planning. And also, when I've never done something like I've never done before, ADHD is like, we can't do it because we don't have a blueprint for this. But also, no one is going to give me one. I have to make it myself. And so I have to literally just bash my head against the wall until I make a hole. Like, you know, the Run DMC Aerosmith Walk This Way video, which is the superior version of Walk This Way, just so you know. But today is gloomy, and I've been in waiting mode and for filming, and I have to take it chill because of my tattoo. So what I'm planning on doing today is just chilling, even though now it's 5 p.m. and I've basically done nothing with the day. Where is the time gone? And sitting and reading, refining my script, making sure that I have as much data as clear from my phone and stuff as physically possible so that I can film, do a little test film. If I can do like a little 10-minute test filming, I will call today a win, and then we'll just do reading, because my parents usually come over on Saturdays, but they're not coming over tomorrow, and so I'll have the whole day to film. And I can't be going outside with the dogs and stuff because I have a brand new tattoo on my thigh, so I don't need to be going outside in the sun with animals. It's 2 days old. I got it last night. That is what we're gonna be doing, because also I need to start planning my April TBR. It'll be like a cramming vlog for manga. I'm not gonna try and do a cramming vlog with like other books. This is still going to be manga, but we're going to do a manga-themed cramming vlog. How about that? That's what'll save this. That way I can actually end it. I don't know. We'll treat it like an early ending to a cramming vlog. How about that? Because the 31st is on a Tuesday. Coming up on a Tuesday. And I don't want it to take that long. Like, I want to end this on Sunday night. That way I can start editing it. But, yeah, I don't know. I'll talk to you whenever I start reading these guys. Alright, y'all are gonna have to forgive the kind of ridiculous angle because it's past midnight and I need to go to bed, but I want to update you about what I read last night. Not even tonight. I will in a second, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Given 8 and 9, wow, what a good way to end this series. I definitely can see why a 10 would be needed, because I was left wanting more at the end. I thought it wrapped up fine. I like the realizations that the tension led us to in 8 and 9, the satisfaction, the resolution of that. I thought everyone had some introspective moments that panned out really well in terms of making sense of their character and just driving into the story. I love where we got to see the band go, and I love the personal revelations and the relationships that developed and like blossomed, and we really just got a satisfying result out of that, I believe. Even if it wasn't like a happy ending, it was things that, made sense. Again, trying to keep this super, super vague, but the people that I wanted to end up together ended up together. The things that I wanted to happen happened. Music was made, people were loved, and the very ending, ripped my heart out. It left a hole in my heart. That's why I'm wearing this symbological, not a word, hole, like Grimjow. Like Grimjow Jow. Grimjow Jow Chow Chow. And I'm gonna be thinking about it for a long time. But I can definitely see why there's a 10, because now I want to know, like, 10 years on. I really want to know. Yeah, I'm glad I finished this. This was a good time. Be a good free read in the future. If you like boys, if you like music, I say give this a try, but I think everyone and their mom has tried this by now. Then I ended up reading Blue Exorcist Volume 6 and Blue Exorcist Volume 7. So, these, we're pretty much in the same arc that's happening. Apparently the arc was supposed to end in Volume 7, but they're pushing it over to Volume 8. So there's this creature called the Impure King that essentially was defeated a long time ago, and its, like, essence was split up into two eyes that they've had, like, think of, like, cursed kind of objects that they need to keep separate. They can't bring them together to whatever the form of the Impure King is, because it'll bring him back, right? It's this giant big demon that ravaged and killed a bunch of people back then, and the way that they defeated it was one of the monks at one of the temples had a bound demon to him to help him, like, defeat and take care of it. Well, when we last left off in, like, Volume 5, someone had stolen the left eye, and so all these people were congregating, like, at the temple where the other eye was kept as, like, massive security to, like, go over everything, and they have all the exorcist organizations and all the people that are kind of, like, in the know about this, like, all the organizations coming together. And really, it's just a big family reunion for a lot of these students, because their parents and their cousins and stuff are various representatives, various positions within these organizations. Meanwhile, Ren is also still trying to train and get control over himself and dealing with the fact that his classmates now know what he is. And then we start uncovering family secrets as to how they're all tied to Ren and tied to more people in the class than probably the students know. Let's put it that way. I love getting to look at the older generation of how things have gone on in the past to get to where they are now. Because it's like, yeah, your families are, like, maybe not the head of every organization, but they're high up in the organizations. You think they're not really, like, yeah, you may know they know each other, but, like, they got history. And we're starting to learn about that history and how that history, like, truly affects these students and the world as it is right now. And we get some heart-rendering moments. We get some angst. We get some tension. And I'm really interested to see how this arc is going to wrap up. I'll probably read Volume 8 tomorrow. Oh, I also read on Volume 10? It's Volume 10? I think I read Volume 10. Yeah, I think it was Volume 10. This one was mainly about the sports festival between Kyoya and Tamaki. And that was interesting, because I like getting to see the other side of my boy. Not Tamaki, the other one. I like getting to see the side of him that Tamaki brings out, and just getting to see their brohood, blossom and develop, and the way it brings stuff out of everyone to watch them compete. Because they truly are, like, in a league of their own. You get that because they're the leaders of the club, right? And they each have their very own distinct personalities. But to watch them be pitted against each other, and to have everyone else just kind of, like, take a step back instead. Because usually everyone's, like, reacting to Tamaki, right? And then Koyoya is just, like, dealing with everything, right? but for them to actually be reacting to Kyoya and to Tamaki reacting off of each other is like a different dynamic that was really interesting. Then the rest of it was like some of them going to France and the rest of them not going to France, just starting, and we're starting to get some drama between various people who have interest in Haruhi and dealing with their own personal conflicts with that, and tension there is essentially what it was. And I'm very intrigued as to how that is going to play out, because obviously I know what happens in the anime, but yeah, I'm very curious to see how this is going to be brought up and resolved. I also read Semantic Error Volume 2 online. I read that tonight. It was good. I don't think I liked it as much as the first one, just because it didn't feel like there was as much movement, but I am interested to see how it continues on, because I have some issues with it. I have some issues with it, but not like glaring issues. Essentially, I'm having a real big problem with the fact that bro just can't get that the song just has neurodivergence. Dude is clearly on the spectrum, highly spectrumized, okay? I'm not saying what, I'm not a doctor, but you mess up his routine and he freaks out, and also he needs certain conditions to work in, and also he gets overstimulated and and I just hate that he's like that, that JJ is like, hey, you're weird, you're a weirdo. It's like, he's not weird. He's not weird. He just needs coping. He needs coping tricks. He needs strategies. Not you telling him that he's weird. I do like the on-off dynamic of them and the slowly, like, whittling down walls we're getting to see between, like, him trying to wear Songwo down and, like, him just trying to stay back, but also jump forward, but not leap forward, if that makes sense. Like, he's slowly trying to just make headway, being like, hey, even if this doesn't happen, at least I can have, you know, these meetings with him. At least I can have this with him, and that's pretty good too. But now we're starting to actually see some of that chiseling work. That almost sounds coercive. It's not coercive. Definitely not as attempting to be as coercive to make him hate him as it was in the first book. He's not doing that to make him love him here. But it feels like it's the reverse, whereas Songwo is like now getting a little too speedily interested in him. But as someone with ADHD who understands how hyperfixations on people can work, I'm not knocking it out. Again, I'm not trying to self-diagnose him, but... So that's where we stand right now. I'm interested to see where it goes. I am going to continue on with it. I am feeling like it's a little bit quick, but it's not unbearably so. It's not unbearably so, because we are getting a lot of in-between moments. It's just that when we do take those steps, they feel a little bit steppier than what I think they would be, but also, meh. So will I read Volume 3 tomorrow? Probably not. But I don't know. We'll see. Tomorrow's the last day, because tomorrow's Sunday. So what will we read? I don't know. Definitely Blue Exorcist Volume 8, so I can finish out this arc. But from then, I don't know, honestly. Probably more Oran, but I'm enjoying this. I'm making so much good progress in series. I'm so proud of me. Hi, so funny story. I did not actually end things when I said I was going to. Who's shocked? No one! It's March 31st. It is the last day of March Manga Madness, and we're gonna go out in style. I have with me Blue Exorcist 8 and 9. I have Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 10 on my Libby. I'm on cramming sprints with Jan, and we're gonna get some stuff done. We're gonna get it done tonight. We are going to get it done, and we are going to have fun with it. See you when I finish Blue Exorcist Volume 8. I'm starting on it now. Okay, so I have finished Blue Exorcist Volume 8 on the first sprint. We are now on the last sprint, but I finished Blue Exorcist Volume 8 by the skin of my teeth on the very first sprint, and I absolutely loved it. It felt like a really good payoff for the arc. It's not... I still don't feel like we've gotten the full repercussion, well, not repercussions, but the full ending of the arc yet, but I feel like the 90% climax is done with, and I felt like it wrapped up really well. I felt the payoff and the climax was absolutely worth it. The whole OP moment that we've been waiting for, I think it was very well delivered. So essentially, they're still fighting against the current big bad, right? This king of impurity, and we have all these teams kind of spread across the land. We have Ren and Seguro, are trying to create the barrier to kind of just keep it in check, and I'm trying to say as much as I can without giving away spoilers. Meanwhile, there's another team that is like fighting the monsters that are trying to break out of the barrier, trying to keep it contained in the barrier while they're making the barrier, and then there's teams of other people who are trying to track down the big bads that are trying to break down the barrier. You know, basically various teams going against each other. And we have this cool little face-off with Yukio and one of the big bads that gives a really good introspection into his relationship with Rin and kind of his perspective growing up, because I love his character. I think he's so interesting, and I love the turn that they took with that. It's kind of a typical perspective that one might take whenever a villain is trying to dig at a main character, but the way that it was executed was done really well, and the tension buildup of it to then the release of said tension and how it came about was fantastic, because then when we got like an extra little lemon zest twist in there, oh my god, now you've got me hooked. Because wait a minute, we've got this train of thought, we've got this insight into this character that has got me hooked, and now we've got this other thing that's going on that is clearly going to be an arc, but also clearly is tying into something that we don't know the full repercussions of yet, because there's so much other stuff going on right now. Like, this is a minor thing, but also it's going to be a major thing the second we get a second to stop and breathe. But it's good because it doesn't take away from the actual tension of the moment. Instead, it just adds to it because we just got that second to breathe of like, ah, and then we have to go, you know? And it's really good. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to see what Volume 9 is holding. It's probably going to be the calm cool down, and then we're going to start building up towards the next arc. And I'm really enjoying just getting these continued insights into the various characters, getting to know them for who they are as characters and where they contribute to the story and how they contribute to, because really all the characters in their own individualities push the story forward themselves. Like they are not just the background characters, right? They're not just there for like, oh, they make one plot line different, or they're there to add like drama because someone likes the same person. They each have intricate weavings into the plot based on their families who have been intricately weaved into this fabric of this world and to the lore of this place. So they, as the present actors and the repercussions of the sins of the past, are now we're now seeing that in action, and I really, really like that. So I hope to read Volume 9 during the sprint if I finish my poetry book. But if I don't, then I'll see you later. I'm going to read it tonight, but I will talk to you later. Jan is laughing at me because she sees that I'm making a vlog. She's laughing at me right now. Anyway, I'll check in with you later. I'm finally starting into Blue Exorcist Volume 9, and I'm keeping this volume very still because I'm probably going to have to put a PNG over it lest YouTube think that the cover is something that it's not. But yeah, I'm very excited to start into this. There's only 10 more minutes left on Sprint, so I doubt I'm gonna finish it because I'm not gonna fly through it that quickly, but we're gonna get started on it, and I will finish it tonight, even if not during the sprint. Hi there. Long time no see. It is now April. I did not update you on the 31st at the end of the night what I ended up reading because I went to bed. That being said, I have some books that I finished that I need to update you on. I did end up finishing a couple more before the day was over and before the month was over. Let's talk about those. Blue Exorcist Volume 9, you better bet your bottom dollar that I ended up finishing this. I really like this. It ended out the arc like I figured it was going to do, and like the author was kind of hinting and hoping that it was going to do. However, I thought, that's a good however, this was a really great way to end the arc. In terms of letting everything come to a head, letting that emotional and physical and mental and actionable tension all build, came together perfectly in the way that it executed itself. It had the right amount of moments building, like I said, physically, emotionally, mentally, for all these different characters in all these various areas that really came to blows when it mattered and when it was most impactful. It hit all the right notes when it needed to. So we have these characters dealing with this personal trauma regarding some family members, regarding this unresolved tension with family members in the group. And now that they're being faced with a life or death situation, now they're having to come with this reckoning of what's more important, old grudges, or maybe I was misinterpreting things from the get-go, and now I'm having to reevaluate my perspective of the situation and see it through this person's eyes, and oh my god, what I thought I knew is shifting. But also there's a monster coming at my head. There's people trying to turn people against one another due to these doctrines, due to these views, like, you know you hate him. You know you do, and people having to reckon with that, and people having to prove their feelings, or people having to prove their feelings to themselves. You know that one. That's the age-old one, like, I'm not strong enough. Yes, I am, because I have to be strong for my friends, for my loved ones. But it's done in a way that is definitely not cheesy, it's definitely satisfying, and it makes sense, given the characters that it is affecting. We're really digging into the roots of these characters and their relationships, which you've heard me talk about a lot, but it really comes to a head in this book because they're all having to either ally with each other or at least rely on each other in terms of this giant battle, right? Because it doesn't matter what their grudges are or, you know, put that aside, put this aside. They have work to do. But also, there's going to be more than one mess to clean up after it's all over because people are going to have to come to reckonings, people are going to have to come to understandings. But also, their fraught relationships are why this played out exactly the way that it did in sort of a butterfly effect, and so having to come to terms and realizations with that. The character work is intricately and really well done, not just in terms of relations to each other, but also to the self. We get a lot of good little revelations in this and peeks into potentially the next arc, or at least something that is definitely going to matter in later volumes. And I love that while we are in these characters' heads, we're not totally in their heads. We don't know what they're thinking until they're doing it sometimes, and I love that. We don't get the whole, like, build-up of it. Sometimes it's just like, oh no, you think they're gonna be swayed by this or whatever or this, and then it's pow. Obviously can't say much about that because that would give away things. But I like that we can't automatically predict what a character's outcome or their decision is going to be. I'm looking forward to Volume 10, but for now, that's it for Bow Exorcist. Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 10. I like this volume. We're still at the fight at school. Gojo is down in the subway or whatever, facing off one-on-one with demons. Some students are trying to get to him up on top, and there's the thing over the school. All you need to know is that there's a fight between the villains and the good guys, like, at the school. And the villains are, like, trying to isolate Gojo to really get him on his own and, like, overwhelm him and stuff. And everybody else up top is, like, fending for themselves, but also trying to defeat outwards, like, of what they're trapped in, and also trying to get to Gojo. Do you like that map? Do you like that? Overall, I like this volume and the fight scenes. The fight and the action scenes were great. And the overall story progression is really good. It's very intriguing. My issue is, I have this issue with every single volume. I don't totally understand. It's not a magic system, but the powering system. I don't totally understand curses. And I do appreciate that the author and the manga team, like, try to give these examples in every volume of how the curses are working, or how the jutsus or the abilities are working, and how stuff like that works. It's helpful. I'm glad that there's something. However, it is still very confusing, and even the author admits that. The author's like, yeah, but it's confusing. Like, how do I say this in a very nice way? Because I don't want to be mean. My first reaction is to say, isn't that your job to, like, make it not confusing? But that sounds so snippy, and I'm tired, and I don't mean it that way. What I mean to say is, like, if you're confused, how do you expect us not to be? Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand, but also, I'm not saying that it's a bad system. I'm saying that it's explained not well for me. I understand it could very much be a potential user error, but since this is a user opinion, here we are. I'm glad that we have examples from the get-go. That's very helpful. Now, would it also help if I was kind of reading these back to back? That way it was, like, fresher and stuff in my mind? Probably, but let me tell you what it feels like to me, how these abilities and these jutsus and everything, the power and all that, is explained from volume to volume. So typically, when we get something explained, it's because a new concept is being introduced, right? So, like, in the first volume, it's talking about curses in general, and jujutsu sorcerers in general. And then, like, a few volumes later, we get to talk about, like, domains, and, like, canceling out domains, and, like, Gojo's powers, and stuff like that. Abilities, powers. what it feels like the equivalent to me of how we're explaining things and why it is not clicking to me is, did y'all played at recess, when y'all would play and be like, I cast my firebolt spear, and then your friend would be like, well, yeah, but I have an ice shield, and it's fireproof, and so it bounces your fire spear right back at you, and my hawk catches it and throws it at you. And then you say, but I catch my fire spear and I have a fireproof glove to make sure that I don't get burned. And actually, my boots are rooted to the earth. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And that is what this feels like in the explanation. It's like, oh, but this. Oh, but actually now this. Oh, but actually. And it's like, make it a standard. Make it make sense. Again, very much could be a user error. If someone could explain it to me, I get the general concepts. It's when we start getting into how things cancel out and all that kind of stuff that I'm like, I would love to understand. I'd love to understand, because otherwise I love the series. I'm really enjoying it, and I love the character work that is similar to Blue Exorcist, where like we make the adults matter. We make the actions of the people that came before the new main cast matter. I love that. And so I feel drawn out of it whenever I'm confused, because I'm like, okay, I don't feel the stakes that I should in this moment, because I don't understand what the hell is going on. But other than that, it's a great time. The next one is Ouran High School Host Club, Volume 11. Nothing crazy happening in this one. Some people are still in France, some people are still at school. It's mostly about Hikaru and Kaoru just, like, going at each other about being into Haruhi and fighting over it, and more about Tamaki's background. That's really kind of all this volume is. Not to say it isn't enjoyable. It was fun, but that's pretty much it. And I'm enjoying delving into Hikaru and Kaoru's... why do I want to roll the O like that? I don't know. But getting into their relationship in terms of them always being a collective and now trying to be the individual without losing the value of their collective. I think that's a pretty interesting angle, as well as... But I wish, like... And I'm sure we will, but I kind of wish we got more of Haruhi's angle at this moment. But I think it's important that we don't. And I think I will reserve that for later volumes. I think it's important that we kind of build this outer circle first and deal with these repercussions and see how the tension is building over here and over here and over here, and then it's going to start circling and zoning in. However, I am interested, though, in seeing that Tamaki is just, like, totally really unaware of the twins being, like, a general threat to him and his interest. So I'm interested to see when that starts to turn, and yeah. Yes, I've seen the anime, but I'm interested to see how it turns out in the manga. Lastly, but not leastly, Semantic Error Volume 3. I like this one so much more than Volume 2. Now, while JJ's ideas of consent do be lacking, overall, enjoyed it. I think we got a lot more richness out of this one. And it makes sense, because in 2, you kind of have the awkward space of they're going from just outright hating each other to, like, now they're kind of like, and they're kind of in a no man's land of, like, okay, well, I don't hate you, but what are we? What are you? And there's not really that much of a build up there, because you're kind of just laying the groundwork, right? So I think that's forgivable, but it's also lacking in comparison to the other ones. Just because sometimes you need the lacking, the boring. That's how, really, it's boring, but flat, neutral, because boring sounds too negatively contextually coded. But you need the quiet. That's the better word. You need those quiet times to be able to build to the not so quiet, to the actual action. Which is why people who complain that Iron Lung was too long in the quiet moments don't know what they're talking about. I enjoyed this much more than 2, though, because this is when we really start to build the relationship between Sangwoo and Jay. We start to get this little back and forth, now I'm having to reckon, like they're saying to themselves, now I'm having to reckon with these feelings, this idea of what this person was, but actually, oh no, I'm getting to know them better, and so I can't just live in this falsehood in my head because they're starting to prove me wrong, and I do not like this, but also, I like this. One problem I do have, though, is that it does feel a little quick in the likening of each other for my taste. And I don't just mean likening as people, I mean in terms of being attracted. But, again, user error, I am a very slow burn girly. So, it's not the worst, like, I'm just not an insta-love girl, I'm just not. And I know it's possible in real life. Don't bring up Jan to me, okay? Do not recite the dark arts to me, which I was there when they were written, the ancient texts, whatever. Actually, don't even talk to me unless you're a lion. What am I even saying? What is in this cup? But I'm forgiving of it because I think there is enough tension and enough drive there that is represented pretty well with the angst of, I don't want to be feeling this way. Wait, why am I missing seeing this person today? They make my life a living hell. Why am I missing seeing them today? That's not right. That makes me mad. And I like that because that's honest and that's truthful. And I think that's a really good counterweight to balance out this characterization of slowly moving along the spectrum of their relationship. Also, I just think it's really funny. And the shenanigans are great. The art is hilarious. The facial expressions get me all the time, especially Jay's. His are so funny. But yeah. I'm interested to see who, because I know there's, like, one falling first, but I'm interested to see, like, who really is gonna fall first, and more importantly, who's going to really do something about it first. Not just, like, thoughtfully do something about it first, but actually do something about it first. That's what I'm interested in. We did it! We made it! This week-long vlog ended up turning into an almost kind of month-long vlog, but you know what? That's okay. Because the prophecy was true. It is under an hour-long Chey vlog. Is someone around to document this besides me? Because I am not an objective party. Alright, but that's long enough, so let's get you out of here. I ended up finishing a total of 15 manga. That's pretty great. That's pretty snazzy. And I believe all of them were progress in series that I had either already started or I made significant progress in series that I did start. Yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure that's true. Which is also very good for my series tracker. But yeah, 15 books while just trying to focus on manga. I'm very happy with that. But more importantly, out of those 15, 8 were off my physical TBR. Wow, I feel like I'm doing the ending to my what I read in a week video. This was off my physical TBR. 8 of them. 8 of these chunky little guys off of my physical TBR. Considering that I only had like 14 unread when this video started, out of my whole collection, only 14 unread, and I got 8 of them done. That's really, really good. That's over half of them being on my owned TBR. And it's also helpful because some of them that I did read online that I got from Libby or whatever, I am planning on getting physically. So whenever I do, they will not add to my unread stats. It's a double win. I think the series that I made the most significant progress in was Blue Exorcist. I did finish Given, which was great. But Blue Exorcist I read 4 volumes in, specifically. Then Semantic Error. Now, by the time that I'm finishing this wrap-up, I'll go ahead and tell you that I have finished Semantic Error, but in this vlog, I only finished the first 3. But that obviously gave me a lot of momentum to then finish out the series. Really, though, overall, this was just a very fun experience. I love the challenge. I love the low-stakes focus of just picking it, and just focusing on it, and just doing it. You know, my gremlin, Spicy Brain loves a challenge, and like I said, this was the perfect, like, low-stakes, really no consequences, which... a challenge without consequences. New concept to me. It reminds me of my experiment. I was trying to think of both those words at the same time, and they both sounded fake. Doing the one book at a time kind of challenge. Something that was constrained but not restrictive, at least in terms of like feeling too binding. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to participating in it next year. That being said, if you like what you saw here and you want to see me do more challenges wherein and of I may get punished or have consequences, or I may not, and just be fun little challenges, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. I also make vlogs, wrap-up, skits, little bits, and more. Don't you want to be around to find out what that entails? Also, I'd just love to have you around. Come talk with me about books. But for now, that's going to be it for me. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and if you ain't heard it from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace.